North Korea Dancheon GDP growth scenario. 57. North Korea's mineral capital, creating the miracle on the Taedong River. North Korean Workers' Party can do a market economy. After denuclearization, Dancheon will enter a market economy and usher in an era of $20,000 per capita GDP enjoyed by a population of 600,000 within 16 years. Dancheon's GDP is $1.9 billion in 2027, which is set as the benchmark year for transitioning to a market economy immediately after denuclearization. It ranks among the top in 16 major cities in North Korea. In 2027, Dancheon's GDP per capita will start at $5,000. This is significantly higher than the national average of $1,700 in North Korea and ranks among the top of the country's 16 major cities. Dancheon City is located in the northeastern part of South Hamgyong Province, bordering the Macheonryeong Mountains to the west and the East Sea to the east. The population was approximately 350,000 as of 2008 and is estimated to be approximately 380,000 as of 2026. The area is approximately 600 square kilometers, making it one of the largest major cities in North Korea. Dancheon City's major industries include mining, construction materials, metalworking, machinery, power generation, and fisheries. However, as evidenced by the excavation of Bronze Age artifacts in the region, mining is the largest industry. The most important geographical characteristic of Dancheon is that the Macheonryeong Mountain Range blocks the east and west, making access to the inland extremely difficult. All major facilities and transportation are arranged north-south along the East Coast axis, which is why Dancheon's development strategy must be designed as an East Coast logistics hub. Dancheon is one of the most important cities on the world mineral map. The key to understanding Dancheon is to first grasp the global scale of the mineral resources this city possesses. Ryongyang Mine is a mine boasting world-class magnesite reserves and is located at the foot of Macheonryeong, producing magnesite concentrate. The magnesite reserves of Ryongyang Mine are estimated to be billions of tons, making it one of the world's largest single mines. The Gomdeok mining complex is located in the upper reaches of Bukdaekeon in Dancheon City and is North Korea's largest non-ferrous metal production base, extracting lead and zinc ores from the Gomdeok mine to produce lead concentrate and zinc concentrate. It is estimated that there are about 300 million tons of lead and zinc deposits, and the annual production capacity is 52,000 tons of lead and 124,000 tons of zinc. The Gomdeok mine was so important to the North Korean economy, like the nation's gold, that it was also called Gold Valley. This nickname summarizes Dancheon's economic value in a single sentence. Dancheon's economy was centered on mining, and exports mainly to China were carried out. But most have been suspended due to sanctions. The real economy, including mineral export revenue prior to sanctions, was $500 million, and the GDP per capita was about $1,500. The implications of this figure are significant. Although Dancheon is North Korea's mineral capital, its GDP per capita is lower than expected due to a planned economy structure where mineral revenues do not flow back into the lives of the residents. When transitioning to a market economy after denuclearization, if we simply create a structure where mineral revenues are linked to residents' income, GDP per capita will rise rapidly. Dancheon City's core asset is that it is a city capable of influencing the global mineral market. Asset 1 is Ryongyang Mine Magnesite, which is the world's largest single open-pit mine. First, you must understand the uses of magnesite. Magnesite is a strategic mineral essential for refractory materials in steel and cement plants. Inner walls of high-temperature blast furnaces, magnesium metal lightweighting of automobiles and aircraft as a lightweight alloy, the environmental sector desulfurization agent and heavy metal adsorption, and agriculture correction of soil acidification. As China controls 85–90% of global magnesite refining, the demand for diversification away from China under the EU CRMA Critical Raw Materials Act and the US IRA converges directly on the Ryongyang mine. If we understand the economic feasibility of the Ryongyang mine in numbers, the magnesite ore is $30 to $60 per ton. But Light magnesia MgO 90% or more is $200 $400 per ton. Dedicated magnesia MgO 97% or more is $500 $1,000 per ton. And fused magnesia special refractory material is $1,000 $2,000 per ton. As the processing stage is increased from simple raw ore export, the added value increases by 10 to 30 times. Asset 2 is the Gamdeok Mine Lead and Zinc Mine, which is a single mine within the top 10 in the world. The Gamdeok Mining Complex, which is estimated to have deposits of about 300 million tons of lead and zinc, has an annual production capacity of 52,000 tons of lead and 124,000 tons of zinc. Considering that the world's annual zinc production is about 13 million tons, Gamdeok alone accounts for about 1% of the world's zinc production. Zinc is a key raw material for steel galvanizing, and lead is a raw material for lead-acid batteries, radiation shielding materials, and solder. Dancheon lead and zinc are spot assets with immediate demand in the global metal market. Asset 3 is the Dancheon Smelter, an existing refining infrastructure. Major mining-related facilities include the Gamdeok Mining Complex, Dancheon Magnesia Magnesite Plant, Dancheon Smelter, and Ryongyang Mine. The existence of the Dancheon Smelter means that primary processing infrastructure, from raw ore mining to concentrate and smelting, already exists. The cost of modernizing this is much lower than that of new construction. Asset 4 is the mining specialized college infrastructure. There are also Gamdeok Industrial College and Dancheon Mining College, which specialize in training miners. Mining engineers produced by these two universities will become key technical personnel in joint operations with international mining companies after denuclearization. Asset 5 is that the Gamdeok district has been rebuilt on a large scale since 2020. When the Gamdeok area was damaged by a typhoon in September 2020, the government dispatched construction capabilities, and thousands of homes were completed in less than a year. In 2024 and 2025, residential houses were also built in Yongcheon-dong, Saimunhwa-dong, Bonsan-dong, Jeonjin-2-dong, and Daehyung-1-dong in Dancheon City. This reconstruction project demonstrates that Dancheon is a key city being strategically fostered by the North Korean authorities. The newly built residential infrastructure can also be utilized as housing for technicians from foreign mining companies after denuclearization. This is the current status and master plan for Dancheon City by district. Dancheon City is divided into 7 development districts based on geographical and functional characteristics. Zone 1 is the Ryongyang Mine and Magnesite Vertical Industrial Complex, located in the mountainous area west of Macheonryeong, covering an area of approximately 80 square kilometers. It is a core base for Dancheon's development strategy and is an area where the world's largest magnesite reserves are vertically integrated. The Ryongyang mine is currently operating on a small scale, but exports are blocked due to sanctions. Due to aging mining equipment and power shortages, actual production is only 20 to 30% of design capacity. The master plan designs this zone as a fully vertically integrated industrial cluster extending from magnesite ore, light magnesia dedicated, magnesia, fused magnesia, magnesium metal. In the mining modernization phase 0-3 years, large-scale mining equipment from HD Hyundai Site Solution, formerly Doosan Infracore, is introduced, and electric excavators and electric dump trucks are deployed first. We are self-sufficient in electricity by building a small hydro power plant within the mine. Expand annual mining capacity from the current estimate of 1 to 2 million tons to 10 million tons. In the first stage of processing 3-8 years, we promote the modernization of light calcination manufacturing over 90% MgO and sintering processes. At this stage, we begin production of pan-fused magnesia arc furnace high-temperature melting at 2,800 degrees. An annual production capacity of 500,000 tons of pan-fused magnesia enables annual exports of $500 million to $1 billion, based on a price of $1,000 to $2,000 per ton. The final stage, 8-15 years, involves the production of magnesium metal MgO. Magnesium metal is 33% lighter than aluminum, making it a key material for lightweighting electric vehicles. Currently, China monopolizes 88% of global magnesium metal production, leading to explosive demand for supply chains moving away from China. An annual production of 100,000 tons of magnesium metal can generate $300 million to $500 million in exports, based on a price of $3,000 to $5,000 per ton. The scale of investment is approximately 300 billion won for mining modernization, approximately 500 billion won for light caliber, dedicated and fully fused magnesia plants, and approximately 1 trillion won for magnesium metal plants, totaling approximately 1.8 trillion won. The funding sources are 30% joint FDI from Germany's RHI Magnesita, 20% joint FDI from Japan's Kurosaki Harima, 20% joint FDI from the U.S.'s MP Materials, and 30% from an ADB mining development loan. The annual GDP contribution from magnesite and magnesium product exports is approximately $1.5 billion. This is based on the 15th year of the base scenario. Zone 2 is the Gamdeok Mine lead and zinc smelting cluster, which is the Gamdeok area in the upper reaches of Bukdecheon, covering an area of about 40 square kilometers. The Gamdeok mining complex is located upstream of Bukdecheon in Dancheon City and is North Korea's largest non-ferrous metal production base. With an annual production capacity of 52,000 tons of lead and 124,000 tons of zinc. After the typhoon damage in 2020, the Gamdeok area was rebuilt and thousands of households and infrastructure were renovated. In 2024, hundreds of residential units were constructed in Yeongcheon-dong, continuously expanding the housing infrastructure for the mining workforce. The mine itself is in operation, but due to the aging of the smelting facilities, the recovery rate is low, and there are issues with heavy metal contamination. The master plan develops this area into a lead, zinc, cadmium, and indium complex non-ferrous metal smelting cluster. The first task is to improve the beneficiation efficiency of lead and zinc concentrates. If the current beneficiation recovery rates are raised to 85% for lead and 88% for zinc, production will increase by 20–30% from the same mining volume. A technological joint venture with Korea Zinc is the most natural option. As Korea Zinc is one of the world's largest zinc smelters, the most realistic approach is to connect the structure of receiving Dancheon zinc as a raw material with Korea Zinc's on-sand smelter in Korea. Cadmium and indium are produced alongside the lead and zinc ores in Dancheon. Indium is an essential material for smartphone and TV displays ITO, indium tin oxide, and is an ultra-high-value rare metal traded at $200 to $400 per kilogram. The addition of an indium production line enables the annual production of tens of tons of indium, generating tens of millions of dollars in additional revenue from this alone. The investment scale is approximately 500 billion won for the modernization of ore dressing and smelting, and approximately 100 billion won for cadmium and indium recovery lines, totaling approximately 600 billion won. The funding sources are the Korea Zinc Joint Venture FDI, the Japan Copper Metals Joint Venture, and the ADB Mining Loan. The annual GDP contribution from lead, zinc, and indium smelting and exports is approximately $600 million. Calculation basis, 50,000 tons of lead per year, $1,800 per ton, plus 120,000 tons of zinc per year, $12,000 to $500 per ton, plus indium byproducts. Zone 3 is the Dancheon Port and Mineral Export Port Complex, covering an area of approximately 20 square kilometers around Dancheon Bay in the East Sea. It serves as a gateway for the products of the mining city of Dancheon to enter the global market. The master plan modernizes Dancheon Port into a port dedicated to the export of minerals from the East Sea. The current small-scale port will be expanded to accommodate 3 50,000-ton bulk carriers simultaneously. Dedicated piers will be arranged according to mineral type. The North Pier will be dedicated to magnesite products, the Central Pier to lead and zinc concentrates and smelted products, and the South Pier to general cargo. We will install dedicated railways and conveyor belts for mineral transport connecting docks and mines. Switching mineral transport from the current road-based system to rail and belt transport can reduce logistics costs by 60–70%. We will establish regular direct cargo shipping routes between Japan, Korea, and the EU. The scale of investment is approximately 300 billion won for port modernization and approximately 200 billion won for mineral transport infrastructure, totaling approximately 500 billion won. The funding sources are an ADB port infrastructure loan and a pre-investment through a long-term contract with Japan's JSE, a Japanese steel importer. The GDP contribution from port services is approximately $100 million annually. Zone 4 is the Dancheon Chemical and Secondary Material Processing Cluster, located in an area of approximately 25 square kilometers north of downtown Dancheon. It is an industrial complex for secondary processed materials using primary smelting products of magnesite, lead, and zinc as raw materials. The master plan establishes a magnesium alloy parts processing plant. It produces die-cast parts for automobile wheels, engine parts, and electronic device cases using magnesium metal as a raw material. If you produce magnesium structural parts for EVs in collaboration with Hyundai and Kia Motors part suppliers, you will secure an immediate source of demand. We are also pursuing the production of galvanized steel sheets. By applying zinc plating to cold-rolled steel sheets at the Kimchak Iron and Steel Works, using Dancheon zinc as a raw material, we produce high-value added automotive GA gas-alloyed galvanized steel sheets. This is a key process that connects Kimchak and Dancheon into a single vertically integrated steel non-ferrous metal industrial belt. We are also adding the production of magnesite-based special refractory cement and magnesium oxychloride boards, MagBoard, eco-friendly building materials. The investment scale is approximately 1 trillion won for the secondary processing complex. The funding sources are Hyundai Motor Company's parts joint venture FDI and POSCO's galvanizing technology investment. The annual GDP contribution from secondary material processing and exports is approximately $400 million. Zone 5 is the Dancheon Mining Eco-Tourism and Mountain Tourism Zone, located at the eastern foot of the Macheonryeong Mountain Range, covering an area of approximately 30 square kilometers. Gyeongdeok District is a mountainous mining town with a unique landscape of houses built along a gorge, and North Korea is transforming it into a national model mountain city. We utilize this unique mining city landscape as an industrial tourism resource. The master plan develops the world's largest magnesite mine experience tour. It operates corporate tours and academic mining exploration programs where mining experts from around the world visit the world's largest mines in person. Although relatively small in scale, this is B2B business-to-business tourism, with per capita spending reaching 3 to 5 times that of general tourism. We are also developing trekking courses for the Macheonryeong Mountain Range. The geological trekking course, which involves walking along the unique geology and mineral outcrops of Gyeongdeok Gorge, is a unique experience in the world for earth science and mining majors. The investment scale is approximately 50 billion won for mining and tourism facilities. The funding comes from UNDP Sustainable Development Assistance and the Korea Tourism Organization's Inter-Korean Tourism Cooperation Project budget. The annual GDP contribution from mining, tourism, and academic training is approximately $20 million. Zone 6 is the Dancheon Fisheries and Food Processing Zone, located in the southern part of the East Sea coast, covering an area of about 15 square kilometers. It is a seafood processing and export complex utilizing the abundant marine resources of the Dancheon East Sea coast. The master plan establishes a seafood processing plant using pollock, squid, and mackerel from the Dancheon coast as raw materials. We are establishing frozen, smoked, and dried seafood processing lines in a joint venture with Korea's Dongwon Industries and Sajo Group. We export directly to Japan and Korea via the Dancheon Port Container Terminal. The investment scale for the fisheries processing complex is approximately 150 billion won. The funding source is FDI from Korean fisheries companies. The annual GDP contribution from processed fishery exports is approximately $100 million. Zone 7 is the Dancheon Newtown Education and Service Zone, which is the center of downtown Dancheon and covers an area of approximately 20 square kilometers. It is a new city and service complex for mining workers and foreign corporate personnel to be brought in after denuclearization. The master plan develops Gyeongdeok Industrial College into the Dancheon Mining and Materials International College. We are pursuing a sister university relationship with a Korean engineering university and Curtin University in Australia, one of the world's top universities specializing in mining. We offer majors in mining engineering, metallurgical engineering, environmental mining, and mineralogical economics based on international standards. We are establishing a medical institution specializing in mining, specializing in occupational diseases, pneumoconiosis, and heavy metal poisoning. Due to the nature of mining cities, occupational diseases are prevalent, and the provision of medical services meeting international standards is a critical factor in the investment decisions of foreign mining companies. The investment scale is approximately 200 billion won for university modernization, and approximately 1 trillion won for new city infrastructure, totaling approximately 1.2 trillion won. The funding sources are ADB Education and Urban Development Loans and LH Corporation Inter-Korean Cooperation. The contribution to GDP is approximately $100 million per year for education, health, and services. This is the GDP growth scenario for Dancheon City. We set the starting point at the time of the denuclearization agreement in 2027, with a population of 380,000 and a GDP of approximately $510 million, approximately $1,342 per capita. Dancheon's 5 major growth engines are the magnesite vertical integration largest contribution, lead and zinc smelting, secondary material processing, port logistics, and fisheries and services. We use Calama, Chile as a reference point for comparison. Calama is a mining city serving as the hinterland for the world's largest copper mine, Chuquicamata, which grew from a GDP per capita of less than $1,000 in 1970 to approximately $25,000 in 2024. Dancheon is larger in scale and has more diverse minerals than Calama, and has a much stronger technological and capital partner in Korea. The baseline scenario is the Calama model, which achieves a GDP per capita of $20,000 in 25 years. This is a case where mining modernization is carried out in stages after denuclearization. 5 years after denuclearization, the modernization of the Ryongyang mine will be completed. The export of light magnesia will resume. The efficiency of the Gomdeok beneficiation will be improved, and the modernization of Dancheon port will begin. The city's GDP is approximately 1.5 billion. With a population of 410,000, and per capita GDP is approximately 3,558 Dao. 10 years after denuclearization, the total annual production capacity of 500,000 tons of magnesia will be achieved, the modernization of lead and zinc smelting will be completed, and the indium recovery line will be put into operation. The city's GDP is approximately 3.2 billion. Its population is 460,000. And its GDP per capita is approximately 6,956. 20 years after denuclearization, the secondary material processing complex with an annual production capacity of 100,000 tons of magnesium metal will be completed. The city's GDP is approximately $7.2 billion, with a population of 550,000, and per capita GDP is approximately 13,090. Achieve per capita GDP of $20,000 in 25 years after denuclearization. The city's GDP is approximately $12 billion, and its population is 600,000. Under the optimistic scenario, per capita GDP reaches $20,000 in 16 years with the Magnesium Global Hub model. This is a case where demand for magnesium shifting away from China in the EU, and the U.S. explodes, and large-scale global materials companies simultaneously invest in Dancheon. 5 years after denuclearization, magnesium metal exports will begin in earnest. The city's GDP will be approximately $2.5 billion, and its GDP per capita will be approximately 6,097. The pessimistic scenario is a model of delayed mining modernization. This scenario involves the withdrawal of Western investors due to non-compliance with environmental regulations and the continued weakening of price bargaining power due to persistent sole reliance on China. 10 years after denuclearization, the city's GDP will be approximately $1.2 billion, and its per capita GDP will be approximately 2,667. And it will take about 45 years to reach a per capita GDP of $20,000. This is a comprehensive estimate of GDP contribution by industry in Dancheon City. based on the baseline scenario 20 years after denuclearization. The magnesite and magnesium product sector accounts for 42% of the total GDP, with an annual value of approximately $1.5 billion. Investment is required for about 1.8 trillion won. The lead, zinc and indium smelting sector accounts for 19% of GDP with an annual value of approximately $700 million. Investment is required for about 600 billion won. The secondary material processing sector accounts for 14% of GDP with an annual value of approximately $500 million. Investment is required for about 1 trillion won. The port logistics service sector accounts for 6% of GDP with an annual value of approximately $200 million. Investment is required for about 500 billion won. The fisheries processing, education, and service sectors account for approximately $300 million annually, or 8% of GDP. Investment requires about 2.2 trillion won. Other sectors account for 11% of GDP with an annual total of approximately $400 million. Adding this up, 20 years after denuclearization, the GDP will be approximately $3.6 billion, the population 550,000, and the GDP per capita approximately $6,545. The total investment required is approximately 6 to 7 trillion won, which will be executed in installments over 20 years. Dancheon's decisive differentiator is that it is the new center of the 21st century China-free materials supply chain. It is known that the UK and the Netherlands have formed a resource fund to develop North Korea's resources and entered Pyongyang, and that Japan is also in contact with North Korea. This is evidence that Western capital is ready to move immediately to Dancheon once sanctions are lifted. Dancheon's two world-class resources, the world's largest magnetite and the world's largest lead and zinc mines, are in the most strategic position in the reorganization of the 21st century decarbonization and de-China supply chain. Magnesium for EV lightweighting, zinc for battery cell cases and automotive steel plating, and indium for display panels are all deposited in a single location in Dancheon. For Dancheon, denuclearization is not just a political event. It is the moment when the door to a historic opportunity opens to take away the position China has monopolized in the global materials supply chain. The day Dancheon transforms from the nation's gold mine into a world materials city, the entire structure of the North Korean economy will change. Next time, I will discuss Dancheon's GDP growth scenario. Thank you.